First, apologize for that. I was having some feedback. Welcome to our second SYNCHRO Office Hours of 2020. Again, thank you for joining us on your Friday. First session was quite successful, and we have a long list of questions that have been built up from that, and moving forward, we'll have even more. So today's host, we've got Jacqueline Chen, my esteemed colleague from the SYNCHRO team, industry solution consultant. She works very closely with our product management team, very knowledgeable in SYNCHRO Pro, and couldn't have a better person to help answer your questions today. And myself, Ryan Posnikoff, I'm services director for our SYNCHRO team, work with a great team globally, working with our SYNCHRO Pro products and SYNCHRO 4D products across the globe. So the purpose and agenda of today's office hours, this is the second in our ongoing series of technical and process-focused sessions for SYNCHRO users by our SYNCHRO SMEs. The intent here is to showcase some best practices for common situations. You, the users, bring your questions. If you have questions on best practices on utilizing the SYNCHRO solution tool, bring them to these sessions, and we will answer them for you. We want to be able to engage with you with live chat within the session. You can expect about 30 to 40 minutes of live screen sharing time of the SYNCHRO product answering the questions that you asked. Today in particular, we're going to spend a little bit of time actually talking about the most recent release of SYNCHRO Pro 2019. So those of you, and I see some names that I recognize from 2 weeks ago that attended the first session we had, our colleague Arpit Prakash had noted that our newest version of SYNCHRO Pro was just released that week. Jacqueline Chen is going to speak about the updated release and some of the new features you can expect from using SYNCHRO Pro 2019.2. So we just want to speak a little bit about working remotely. Everyone right now is on this call across the globe. We find ourselves working in remote situations, working from home. I know myself, I'm working at home with a couple of young children, so first we'll apologize if you hear some yelling, laughing, or screaming in the background, although they're pretty good. Bentley is here to help minimize and eliminate business disruption for our users. We're here to help. We're here to ensure that you're able to continue on with your business as usual as much as possible. This link here, very long. If you look on your right side in the web links section, there is a link that says work from home with SYNCHRO. Please click on that. If you have any questions whatsoever, you can find many of the answers you require for working from home with SYNCHRO or the entire Bentley suite of products. We've prioritized support tickets for working remotely setup and configuration for our users that are now finding themselves working on their home laptops. So again, if you have any questions whatsoever, we have a lot of web links on the right side of your screen. Within there, please explore that and please contact us if you have any questions. So again, I've just kind of covered the web links there. You can also find us on YouTube. These sessions are recorded and we post them on YouTube usually by the beginning of the following week. Follow us on Twitter as well and check out our website on the link on the right as well. So just before I close, I just want to kind of speak about Bentley's brand for construction. This is SYNCHRO. So many of our users of SYNCHRO, they come from many years of use of the SYNCHRO Pro product. Bentley has taken the goodwill of that name and we're creating it as our overall umbrella brand of construction solutions going forward. So the component of SYNCHRO Pro falls under the branding of SYNCHRO 4D. So this is your 4D scheduling, your 4D solution for construction management, construction planning. And a big element of our solution is now the aspects of SYNCHRO control and SYNCHRO field. And what these are is really bringing information, bringing knowledge, bringing documentation and workflows and forms out of the office and into the field, so that the field is enabled for what they need to be able to execute safely and efficiently, and with as minimal paper required, so they can get that information back in a digital format to the office to be able to properly manage and execute our projects. Today's session is going to be focusing on SYNCHRO Pro, which is part of the 4D solution, but future sessions will have Q&As on SYNCHRO control and field as well. So with that, I'm going to close, and you can we can have pass this over to Jacqueline Chen so she can start answering some of your questions and showing some of the new solutions, some of the new options of SYNCHRO 2019.2. You can expect this session to be about 50 more minutes, so we'll stop at 5 minutes to the hour. There is a Q&A section on the bottom right. Please, if you have any questions, pop them into the chat window and we will do our best to answer them for you. And again, we want you to have fun and hope to see you again in 2 weeks' time. We plan to do these every 2 weeks, twice a month, first and third week of every month. So with that, I will pass over control to Jacqueline, and thank you very much for joining us today.
Thanks, Brian. Okay, anyway, so good morning. I am actually in Seattle. It's not that sunny today. Happy to have everyone here today. So before I actually dive into some of the technical details, I want to talk about these several announcements because SYNCHRO Pro, as Ryan just mentioned, SYNCHRO Pro Scheduler Viewer 2019.2 was just released. And SYNCHRO Workgroup Project will be released separately on a later date. Therefore, if you have a project that you're using SYNCHRO Workgroup Project on, please hold your Pro upgrade until SWP is released, and then you can upgrade both because we do require those products to be on the same version to work together. So the second one is if you have upgraded to 2018.2 SYNCHRO Pro, thank you. And you may see this message window which says trial expired SYNCHRO 40 Pro. That message window pops up. It's because we added a new entitlement, which is the SYNCHRO 40 Pro entitlement that allows for the iModel hub integration. That is the beta version. That entitlement is similar to the SYNCHRO Pro IRA add-on, so it enables you to do something that's greater than the SYNCHRO Pro entitlement. Well, it does not affect your existing SYNCHRO Pro entitlement, and this message window will disappear in 7 days if you don't have SYNCHRO 40 Pro entitlement, and then your SYNCHRO Pro entitlement would just work as normal. Okay, so these are like the two important messages that I want to take the chance when we're at office hours today to communicate to our users. Two more things I do want to mention. We are always more than happy to hear your project success story. If you have any of those to share, please feel free to reach out to Mark, who you've met in office hours 2 weeks ago, or Ryan, or even myself, if you're interested to share your project success stories with us. Our marketing team will be more than happy to conduct an interview and share your success stories to more audience if you're interested. I do want to mention one last thing before we look at my great SYNCHRO Pro screen, is that our Y submission is going to do on May 1st very soon. That is to say, if you want to submit in for the construction modeling category, feel free to do so. And it's very important for us to see your great projects there. And I do have this slide here. Go to search for YI and then Bentley. You'll be able to see how you can submit your project and all that. I think the process is really simple, and if you do get nominated, we'll see you hopefully in Vancouver later in October. Okay, so SYNCHRO Pro new feature highlights, I want to get started with those because a lot of the users are asking about what's included in the latest release, and then is there anything that I can take advantage of to improve my current workflow? Of course, yes, right? So for here, I listed not only the new feature from the release that just came out a week ago or 2 weeks ago. Yeah, 2 weeks ago. But also the previous release. So this should give you a good understanding of the major improvements Well, of course, this doesn't look like the 35 major features right here, but I did my math. If I did it correctly, we have included 35 major features, more than 100 enhancement, 30 bugs squashed. But overall, I think the 2019 releases have been great to me, and I do want to talk about a few of them that I am particularly interested in. Okay, so going back to my Pro. Yes. So the first one I want to talk about is the greatly improved 3D view properties, more color modes, dates to use, and more flexibility. Pretty much, talking about the coloring in Pro. So if you haven't noticed, right now I am using apparently the latest version. If you do go to the 3D view properties panel, I think if you're using an older version, this is this 3D view properties window, you may not have it, just because this is something that we, I think, added about a year ago. So since I was talking about, color modes and then how you can use a bunch of features in conjunction with the color mode. So I would just get started and then try to go through the list here, if not one by one, at least the ones that I think you can start to use right away. The first one is the appearance profile color that you're familiar with. So if you go to Assign Resources and then set up appearance profiles with different colors here, you will be able to play your 4D model just like this, and then the objects will be highlighted in the appearance profiles color that you set up. Okay, so that's kind of the standard color you see after you create your first 4D model and then assign the resources to the task. The second one I want to mention is this color mode, which is called 3D filter. So for that, you have to use it in conjunction with a 3D filter. For example, I cheated a little bit. I did set up a 3D filter, so you can, I can quickly activate it in 3D ribbon, go to 3D filters, activate it, and then select the 3D view. So by doing that, and then by using the 3D filter color mode, I am now coloring my 3D models by using the 3D filter color that I have set up here. So for this filter right here, I am pretty much saying I want to color all of the 3D objects that have this work package user field associated with them. This tells me that among all of those 3D objects, the ones that are highlighted in green are actually the ones tagged with work package numbers. What's more is that it's not a static 3D model at all, since you have a 4D model already that's your 4D digital twin. You can, of course, move your focus time and then have a look at that. Okay, this is kind of using the 3D filter color mode in conjunction with the 3D filter that you set up. Of course, we are always counting out our users here to come up with more use cases of how to use 3D filter, activate it in the 3D view, and use the color mode, 3D filter color mode. Okay. So going to the next one, I think task supply or resource supply, I skipped resource status, but we can always talk about it in office hours in the future. Original color will revert your 3D model color. Let me deactivate this 3D filter first and then close that window because I don't need it anymore. So if I do use the original color mode, that'll bring my 3D model into the original color, because sometimes when we import the 3D models in Pro, it already has certain colors to kind of color different discipline or trade or commodity. In this model, it's this is the original color. So when I play it, you can see it's no longer using the appearance profile colors, but it's using the original 3D object color. Okay, so this is that one. The next one, okay, activity code color. So this is something that I quickly set up. I think if you actively use activity codes in your schedule or plan, this is something you can leverage and it's quite powerful for you to use. So for that, I need to turn on the activity code, the code window, which is in Navigator ribbon codes. So here I did set up some activity codes here. I think what we can do here, let me switch the color mode to activity code colors first, and then let's have a look. So right now what I have here is that I have switched the color mode to activity code. SYNCHRO Pro does give you the flexibility because my tasks those are activity codes for the task, right? So I do have two different activity codes, and then you can see those, it gives me the option to select the right activity codes right here. So I can either use the colors, I can either color the models by discipline right here. I can also color the models by CWA if I want to. So based on these colors I set up here. So how I set it up was actually, assigning the codes to the tasks. So to make it more clear, I think if I expose more data here, you will have a better understanding of what I have done. So pretty much for these tasks, I assign the foundation, which is a discipline code, to here. Right, for these tasks, I assign the steel code right here. And then, of course, for work area, so for this one, so each individual task has their individual kind of code assignments for this to work. So even though you're assigning the activity codes, because of the fact that this is a 4D model, you'll be able to visualize it in your 3D 4D model. And in addition to that, it's working with different dates right here that you can choose. But by default, it's playing by the best dates plan plus actuals in here. I think this is really good. And then again, you can think about the use cases and then come back to us and then let us know if you like it or not. But these are the features that I think you cannot miss in the 2 release. And then the next one I want to talk about, let's see, there's more color modes here. Let me switch back to appearance profiles first to make it simple. Okay, adjusting the model a little bit. The other ones are the table column color modes. It's apparently, it can be done in all tables that you can imagine in SYNCHRO Pro. The main tables in SYNCHRO Pro, if you're familiar with it, they are the task tables, 3D tables, and then the resource tables. These are extremely nice. These need to be used in conjunction with the feature in the table, which is called conditional formatting. So for that, let me just do a quick demo. Let me get rid of the columns that I don't need. So, okay, so Going from the basic appearance profiles mode, I am going to set it to the task table column color mode first. Okay, then I'll come back to it and then adjust to, and then further adjust it. So to be able to use the table column color mode, in this case our task table column color mode, we will need to make sure conditional formatting is used or applied in the task table. So for example, the use case I can imagine here is that I want to mark tasks with high total flow for a schedule quality check, and then highlight my model objects with high total flow to visualize it. So how did I do that? So first of all, what I did was that I enabled the total flow column in customized column in the task table. Then what I can do is that I can right click here, choose conditional formatting. So here is where I can set up the conditional formatting rule. So I can click add and then choose multiple colors. So since I am familiar with a lot of the schedule specifications, I think what I would do is that I want to kind of provide a heat map effect so that the colors are reflected based on the rules and values that I set up here in not only the table, but since I'm using the color mode by table, task table column, it'll be reflecting the 3D view. So if I go to color, and then I would say, okay, since the total flow will be shared by all stakeholders on the project, so I would say, let's say 10 days is okay, but if it goes over 20 days, it's kind of a flag for me, right? So let's use, I think we can choose a white color here, and then maybe a green color right here, and then eventually have some gradient color to kind of interpolate to red. Hit OK, and then hit OK here. You can see my column cells are immediately kind of highlighted based on my values and settings. And then what I can do is that I will go back to using column here and then set it to pick the column that I want to color, I want to use for coloring my 3D. If I choose that option, you can see not only does my legend get updated, also my models get updated as well with the colors from the conditional formatting in the column in the task table. So what's nice about this is that, again, as we're talking about 4D all the time, and I have a 4D model, when you do the playback, you will be able to see how things progressing, and then how the high float objects come in, and then whether you can decide to discuss with the team. Requires a further discussion. Whether this is a successor relationship that's missed here, or is there something that we can do to kind of lower the flow. Okay, those are the things that you can think about when using those color modes. So similarly, in the 3D objects table, because the color mode will also work in two other tables here in addition to the task table. They are the 3D object table and the resources table. What I can do, the other use case I came up with is that maybe we can mark all piping objects in colors based on their length. And imagine that this will facilitate your decision to say whether this pipe object will need to be split for better for field installation, instead of I got this pipe and it's not split, and then I'm trying to install it in the field and it just doesn't work that way. So for that, the idea is similar. I will kind of talk through it. You can right click, find that user field you want to use. In this case, mine is called 3D length. Right-click on it and then choose conditional formatting, and then set up a rule here. You can do it by value or by multiple colors. Multiple colors will give you like a heat map effect, similar to what I showed just now. And then I'm going to just cheat a little bit by opening a layout. So by opening that layout, I should have everything I need. Layouts is capturing a state of, all of the columns that I have, all of the filters, and all of the color mode, the focus time, everything I have here, including conditional formatting, which I did earlier. So you can see that right now my 3D view has a filter applied. It's using the 3D column color mode by marking the piping objects based on their length. So I think the color scheme is quite clear. If it's 0 meter, it's very yellow. If it's 5 meter, it's kind of white. I don't know why I did that. And then when it's 10 meter or over 10 meter, it's like this dark blue color. And you can also easily find out some of the objects are still showing their original color. That's just because they're missing this length parameter, or those are the objects that don't need to have the length value in there. Okay, again, it's a 4D model. You can always move your focus time to see how that works for it. I think it's toward the very end those piping shows up. Okay, so these are the color modes, and it did take me almost 15 minutes to explain those, right? A tip here, no matter which color mode you use, and then sometimes, if you want to use different color modes and then filter, and then one good thing to keep in mind, it's kind of a hidden gem in SYNCHRO Pro, is that you can always take advantage of layouts. It helps you to go from appearance profile color, okay, like this, not moving focus on right now, and then to other color mode if you want to, 3D filter color mode, kind of a quick way to see what I have showed so far. I did not save the activity codes color mode, but there's this task table column by total color mode, and 3D table column by pipe length color mode. Okay, pretty much anything you can imagine, you can do it. The other tip is that don't forget, you can always, many users reach out and they ask, I cannot find one of my objects, what do I do? So do not forget that you can always choose Ignore Timeline right here under Dates and Colors. When choosing that option, it'll kind of temporarily disconnect your model, your assignments, your 3D resource assignments to tasks. This allows you, so focus time, no matter how hard you move it, how much you want to move it, when Ignore Timeline is turned on, you are seeing a static 3D model. It's not going to be a 4D model, and then the time factor doesn't come into play. So that's another tip I want to provide right here. Yes, so this is 3D view properties, more color modes related to dates to use, and then it needs to be used in conjunction with several features, provides user a lot of flexibility to color anything that you want. Okay, moving on to talk about other things that I consider very nice, and then some of the things that you must know about, because you may be wondering where they are. Two great improvements to improve user experience. We now have Gantt display option consolidated into one single spot. Under Plan ribbon, you have Gantt display options. This includes not only task grouping, You can group your tasks by WBS or customize the grouping using activity codes if you want to. You will be able to adjust bar colors as well. So, for example, when I choose activity code color and I hit apply, you can mark my task, mark the task bars by using the activity code colors. Discipline, same idea. It's up to you what to use. You can choose whether a large project, sometimes there are way too many links. It gives myself a headache, so I always choose to turn it off, or choose none to turn it off, or choose select a task to turn off the links that I want to see for only the selected tasks. Other indicators, I think they were in here in the past, somewhere under Plan Ribbon as well, but they are all consolidated in this Gantt Display Options window. This greatly helps you, to have all of the options in one single spot instead of going multiple places to look for those. One thing I do want to mention, which is related to a new feature that we did, also related to 3D view properties and then the dates to use topic, is that right now, we added this option, which is the indicator to display late dates in Gantt chart. Okay, so that is this very nice yellow kind of bar here. You will be able to see, when's the latest that this task should start or finish without impacting the overall project duration. In addition to that, you can use late dates in dates to use in your 3D window for animation or playing focus time within SYNCHRO Pro. Okay. The other user experience, I think, improvement is that, click the wrong button, is that, so when you hit the reschedule button, right here, we consolidated all of the rescheduling options that you would need for rescheduling. So you can, of course, if you don't touch those settings at all, you can, and that you don't want to see it every time when you press F9 or hit the reschedule button, you can choose do not ask again. After you tick this box, it'll disappear. And if you do want to turn it back on, you will go back to options and then turn it back on. So summarize the data date, how you want to schedule it as soon as possible, as late as possible, how you want to schedule it from, some parameters, do you use retain logic or progress override, how do you want to snap the task start to minute, hour, how do you want to compute the critical path, and all that. So this is in one single spot. You can always reset it if you want to. And you can save the settings for reuse later. Okay, these are something else that I want to mention. Well, apparently it's not possible to cover everything. You can have me talking for days about the new features and improvements. But there's one more. I can probably talk about it. Okay, so this one is custom grouping in multiple tables. I think at least I can show what's available in the 3D objects window. So when we mention custom grouping, it means that when you import the models into Pro, you always have those tree right here. That's the original, that's from the design model authoring tool, that's from the source. Our users have been asking ways to customize these if possible, so I did play with it a little bit in this model. So what we can do here is that we can using the piping model as an example. So we can customize by any codes and user fields if you want to. So if I choose the grouping option in 3D objects from tree, switching from tree to custom, I will get this flat list. And then what I can do is that once you switch to custom, you will see this group option available for us to use. And this is when you can insert how you want to, you can customize your grouping by building, by inserting kind of the root or the kind of the hierarchy here. So what I should have done is that, since I'm more familiar with the model, so what I want to do is that I want to bring the custom columns, customized columns here to do a little bit customization before I actually go to group the 3D objects. So what I would do is that I think I did, so I want to group by commodity first, and then group by work package number second, and then since it's piping, I would just ignore concrete and the rest of the discipline at the moment. I want to do a pipe run and then a pipeline. Okay, so since I want to display those columns first, then what I can do is that I will go to grouping. And then instead of browsing through all of the user fields, and then I can just select the parameters that I want to group by, choosing by visible columns. I can also show a project summary. I can customize the color, and then I will be building the parameters that I want to use for customization, custom grouping right here. So I want to group by commodity first, and then make it maybe green. Insert another one by work package, and maybe a blue color. And then I want to do by pipe run, give it another color. This is, apparently not going to be your use case, but the idea here is that I just want to show how this works. And then I can hit apply. Okay, so there's one more thing I need to do it here because I really want to, I'm trying to do it for the entire, for all disciplines, but what I'm really interested in is only piping. So I'm going to do a filter right here. So we are only seeing, maybe only the piping here. Okay, there may be a couple of others. I don't know. So this is just kind of a way I want to show how custom grouping works in 3D objects. Again, this is relatively new. It was added in the 2019.1 release, which was, I think, added last June. But I don't think a lot of us know about it. That's why I want to bring it to your attention. Okay. So I guess we can take some questions, or I can keep going. What do you guys prefer?
There's been actually a few questions actually to continue on with looking at some of the new features. I think people are pretty interested.
Oh, really? Okay, that's
what's available.
I am going to highlight a few other features as more are interested to see the new features, it appears to me. Okay, so great. So two improvements that we did for the animation, which are great to know about. They are, first of all, if you go to 3D view properties and turn on focus time, you will be able to see the focus time and then customize the focus time, not only in the 3D view where you're seeing Pro, that is also available when you choose to export in animation. So let's have a look at that real quick. Okay, so right now my focus time is here. Apparently it is not in a format that works for me. So I want to adjust it. Those are the hard-coded values that you can use. For example, I want to display the month first, then a day of the month, then the year in this format. But also what I can do is that I can start typing right here, following kind of the basic rules here. I want to see year in 4 digits instead of 2. That's what I did. I just added YY there. And then, I want to see, I can add custom text there. I want to see project day right here. And then maybe PD, something like this. Don't forget that you need to tab or hit enter to get that kind of refreshed here and then key in the value. Yes, so in the past you were not able to display the project week or the project days as you wish. Okay, apparently this is available in animation export, which I will not talk too much about. You can also adjust the font size. In the past, we've got users reaching out to us to say that they want to run SYNCHRO Pro in a review meeting, but some of the texts are relatively too small for them to see. So this should really help with some of the user experience. The other thing we did with animation this time, which is I think a great feature for you to be aware of to avoid when changes happen to the scheduled dates. There are likely you would need to recreate the animation because the dates won't match anymore. So in this release, what we did is that for the focus time key right here, I'm just going to delete this one. Let me just move to a spot that actually makes sense. So we made some changes to the focus time key so that you can anchor the key, you can associate the key to the start, the center, the finish of a task. So what I will show here is that right now I will create a focus time key right here. And then I can anchor that key to the start of the selected task, which is this one, 108C steel bridge. So I can right click, choose use selected task as anchor, use start. Okay, so what I would immediately see here is that when I hover my mouse on the selected task, it'll show February 18, 2020, which is the start of that task, even though my focus time position is right here, right? So let's say maybe my schedule changed and then I got an update, and after I synchronize all of the changes, I would actually get a new start date. To kind of simulate that scenario, I would move just constrain it at the moment to show that there's some change. So it was February 18 before. So right now, if I move my mouse here, it actually says February 24. So this focus on key, since it was anchored to the start of this selected task, it will be updated when the task, when the anchor point, which is the focus time, is updated. The start time for the task is updated. Okay, so this will greatly help and avoid rework in the animation when there is a schedule change. Other changes, I think they are nice to hear about. You can always right-click and collapse to a certain level. This is something we added in any table as long as they have certain hierarchy. And another nice one to, I didn't really show it. So I can right-click here, collapse to level 2. Well, for this one, it doesn't really work that well because it only has two level. But let's try collapse to level 1. But that's similar to collapse all. Yeah. But if I do add a new task here, project 108C, if I do add a new task here, and then move all of my tasks right here, so what I can do is that I can try to expand all and then collapse to level 2. So, okay, so this is a great way to show, but apparently when you work on a large schedule, this will be more beneficial because you have more hierarchy than what I have here on this simple example. Save selected tasks as filter is a great one that we have as well. So I will be able to save the selected tasks, any random tasks, and then once the tasks are selected, I will be able to right-click and then go to Filter and then choose Create Filter from Selected. Since we already do this for the 3D filter, we thought this will be a nice feature for users to have. So let me clear out the selection and then activate this task filter I just created. So you can see my selected tasks are filtered, and then my selection was saved in this task filter as well. Don't forget that you can always use any filter to select the filter task. You don't have to have the filter on. You can use your filter as a quick way to select things. That actually works for both 3D filter and task filter. Another nice enhancement or new feature that we have is that when I have non-consecutive rows, and if I want to copy, say, the task name, I will have the fill down menu to copy and paste now. So the task names were different. After use this option, I can copy and paste easily for non-consecutive rows. Grouping tasks by activity codes. That's something I think will be nice to see. Yes. So we mentioned a little bit about activity codes, and then I understand some of the projects are only using activity codes, so they get a flat list if by default Synchro's using the WBS layout for grouping for tasks. So this option right here gives you the flexibility to group by activity codes, and I think if we enhance it a little bit, so you can group by, you can have your hierarchy as well, grouping by multiple activity codes if you use the group by code option. Don't forget that this option is always available here in o.Gantt display option, and if you choose activity code. And then of course your the code will be colored by the color that you set up. Let's see if there's anything else that I want to show. Well, there's this major topic about scripting, sort of related to automation that you can do in Pro with a lot of the data. We introduced project constants apparently in this release, which I can probably briefly talk about and then just show a quick example. We added more syntax for scripting in user field formula, and we also improved auto matching greatly in both releases, not only the 2019.2. Let me show, I think we have probably a few minutes left, and let's show project constants. So here, what we added is that if we go to Navigator ribbon project, and then go to, there's a tab which is called constants. Okay, so what I did was that I simply right-click and it added a new constant which is called concrete waste factor. Apparently there are multiple data types that you can use, You can set the value as well. I'm going to delete this one. Okay, so creating the constants is really simple. Just need to find it in Navigator ribbon and then Projects and then the Constant tab. The next thing I want to do is that I want to be able to show that I can use constants for calculation, for scripting, if that's set up. So in this case, I will pull up 2 columns to show, kind of use the chance to showcase the scripting capabilities as well. So what I would do here is that I will select these activities right here, and then go to Project Controls ribbon, and then choose SYNCHRO Script. And I would use the script that I have earlier, just to kind of show. So first of all, you can see this is going to compute, get a sum of the total quantity from the object volume, from the volume of the associated 3D objects here, so that it displays right here, and then it'll also set the unit. And then this will take waste factor into consideration as well. So if I run the script, you can see that the physical quantity, the quantities are computed, which is the sum of the volume from the associated 3D objects, as I mentioned earlier, and also concrete waste factor is also taken into consideration and it can be referenced in scripting. So I saw a question. It's a great question. The question is, I'm just going to read it. Can we combine multiple grouping criteria like WBS and Activity Code? I'm not certain about this answer, but this is not the first time I heard about it, so I can do some digging and then come back to you with a video, recorded video.
Individual that shares that, could you just pop in the chat your email address so we can make sure we get back to you as well? That'd be fantastic. Thanks. Well, this is great, Jacqueline. Thank you for doing this today, and thanks for everyone for being able to attend this session. A couple minutes left in the hour here. I'll let you guys enjoy your Friday. Please, everyone, stay safe. And again, we will be hosting the next session in 2 weeks' time. And our next session will actually be on UK time. So information for that will be posted out online through our academy and through email as well. Again, this will be posted on YouTube, this recording, and if you have any questions at all, feel free to contact us through any of the links on the right-hand side. Pop your email in the Q&A session, and we can get back to you as well. Thanks, Jacqueline.
Thank you. Bye.